to the Fandom Show, the podcast where we learn about fantastic fandoms by talking to our favorites about their favorites. I am Kaya Green.
And I am Stephanie Malik.
And today we are finally talking about the musical behemoth himself. We are talking about Stephen Sondheim.
Ooh.
Oh, what is this ghost?
Is it the ghost?
I understand he is no longer alive, but you went to ghost very quickly.
I'm honoring the true legacy of Sondheim. He's a ghost now. I'm so sorry. Why did I start with this energy? You know why I started with this energy?
Why?
Because I don't like Sondheim.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get this out of the way.
Because we're going to ask, what do you know about Sondheim?
I'm asking it now. What do you know about Sondheim?
I know he writes songs like a maniac. His songs are insane. I love a classical music structure. And he's like, F that. I don't need it. I'm going to do whatever I want. I just don't like it.
This has got to be one of the few episodes we have started with you being like, I fucking hate this.
And I've said to our guest, and we'll get there, like, I'm willing to be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm willing to be changed.
We are not surprising our guest on this.
If I never want to shit on anyone's love of the thing, you love what you love. You can love it all you want.
Tell everyone about it.
I don't. And I will tell everyone about that too. Anytime Sondheim goes up, I'm like, this is awful. I hate it. That's not entirely true. I do like a few of his songs where he follows a classic song structure, including choruses. Agony.
Yep.
From Into the Woods. I like it.
We were just talking about there's a couple from Company that you like.
Yeah. There's just every piece of crap has something nice in it. No,
What?
I'm not talking. We can't air this. We can't air this. I'm gonna get canceled.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh,
First of all,
God.
Steph, you want to ask me what I know about Sondheim?
No.
Get out of this. Get out of this.
Kaya, what do you know about Sondheim?
Well, I like Sondheim. This is unhinged. I like Sondheim because I feel like he is very much of a lot of the musical tradition, a very writerly writer, I guess. Like he is an amazing lyricist. He tackles subject matters that a lot of different musicals don't tackle. And I think his like subtlety and his like interesting gray area is really, really interesting. And I think it's exactly why you don't like
Yes,
him.
I am a very literal person. I like things being presented to me as they are. Is it because I'm a little simple? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I am. And that's fine. But I'm an extremely literal person. So when people are like, ooh, look at all the subtlety, I'm like, I'm confused and tired. I can't handle this.
So that might be the problem we're having, and I'm excited to see whether somebody else's enthusiasm will change this for you.
It often does. It often does.
Well, I think we have the perfect guest to do that.
Absolutely.
Because her enthusiasm for Sondheim knows no bounds.
This week's guest is the incredible. We asked her how she wants to be introduced, and she said friend, but she's also an accomplished writer and the host of I Hate It But I Love It, also on the From Superheroes Network. If you haven't checked out that podcast, you're going to fall in love with her today. And then you're going to go listen to the entire podcast catalog of I Hate It But I Love It.
It's true.
Jocelyn Geddie, welcome.
Hello, my friend.
Welcome
I'm
back.
loving what's happening on the show.
It's just melted.
Sorry, you've come into such chaos.
No. I would actually say nothing could be more perfect for talking about Sondheim.
Yes.
Because if nothing else, Sondheim was all about inspiring big feelings and polarizing feelings. So you are right and you are right and I am right and we're all going to be right.
We're all
because
right.
Sondheim can have that expansiveness for us all.
I
Yay.
love this for you.
He is here
Why
as
a
a
ghost?
No, I
Here as a
love it.
ghost.
I think he would like it too. I think he'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I sure am.
Why not?
What a good theatrical device to have the ghost of me in the room. Ghost of Steve.
He might be like, I would say that. I'd probably use the word charming.
I don't know if crap would have been his first choice.
Sometimes words come out of my mouth and then they leave and I'm like, oh no, that's not what I was trying to say.
Well, I mean, I can certainly relate. Welcome to every single episode of I Hate It, But I Love It. I'm like, interesting choices, Jocelyn.
You listen back, you're like, where did that go?
Guess I got to stand by that.
It's in the world now, and people will know. Let's pretend someone has come onto this, and they're like, Sondheim, what is a Sondheim? How would you bring someone into the world of Sondheim?
Amazing question. Okay, so I would say often referred to as the Shakespeare of musical theater. Steve and Joshua Sondheim is responsible for introducing a psychologically complex and melodically intricate style into the musical theater songbook. And having a curiosity and expansiveness of vision that has broadened the horizons of musical theater as an art, not just within his own work, but also as a mentor of upcoming talent.
Oh, yes.
It sounds like a dictionary definition. Did you memorize that, or did you have that on hand?
Wikipedia.com and go, I'm ready.
Beautiful.
I was up last night at 4:30 a.m. writing my treatise on Stephen Sondheim. Well, I will say, I mentioned before we started recording, but when Kaya messaged me about talking about Sondheim on the show, I was like, this is what it feels like to be the Flash, because I just, every molecule in my body lit up.
Vibrated?
Yes, completely. And I took Sadie for a walk, and I could feel how quickly my body was moving through space, and everything else was very slow. And so I do feel kind of activated in a way I don't think I've ever felt before, and probably will never feel again. This is it.
A peak.
This is it for me. After this, I'm just going to turn into a ghost like Sondheim.
Oh,
We're
you
gonna
have to
chill
go
on a
hang
cloud.
out.
Yeah.
So this is your 11 o'clock number. We'll try and make the best of it.
This is my Rose's turn.
It's Jocelyn's turn.
Finally.
Okay, lovely. So what that is like such a unique feeling when it comes to fandom. I think it's something that fandom has so specifically for people, that feeling of wanting to vibrate out of your body because you love it so much. When did this start for you?
Oh, I know exactly when it started. I was 17 years old, and my family had this sort of precursor, I want to say, to Apple Music. I can't remember what it was called, but it was individual radio, I guess.
Like
stations.
Pandora or like?
Not even like Pandora. It was like an off-brand Pandora.
Okay.
Great.
Yes, exactly. Pandora? Question mark? But it did have a Broadway station that you could listen to. And I kept clicking past one song called Finishing the Hat, which I was like, oh, that's sung by Mandy Patinkin. And I listened to the beginning of it a couple of times. And if you've ever heard the song, where it's placed in the musical Sunday in the Park with George, it's the main character, the artist Georges Seurat, is flipping through his sketchbook. So the beginning of the song is a lot of dialogue about just looking back at things he's drawn. And so at first I was kind of like, I don't really understand what this is, click through. But then something compelled me at one point to just be like, just give it a chance, just keep listening. And there's a part in the song, I'm going to cry, where it breaks into him talking about not just what's in the sketchbook, but his lover Dot, who has just left him because he's so remote and inaccessible as a person. And then it goes into the reason why, which is because all of his time and all of his energy is spent in the act of creation. And the way that this plays out in the song is this very specific image of like what it feels like to just be working on something as simple as a hat, and what it feels like to sort of hear people's voices come in and out of the window as you're in this other world. And the music, which is so kind of piecemeal at the beginning, it breaks into this gorgeous, pointillist, expansive, beautiful backdrop. And I was like, holy motherfucking shit. And it changed in like a very real way. It changed my life. Here are the tears. I knew they were going to come, but I was like, I didn't know that music could sound like this. And I didn't know that someone else knew what this felt like. Because I was spending all of my time writing little, stories and plays and feeling so entranced in my own little world. So I was like, someone else knows, like someone else gets it. And that to me is such a metaphor for the experience of listening to Sondheim, where it's like, if it appeals to you,
you don't have to say that for this.
If you give it a chance, that your attention to it will be so rewarded. And his humanism, his ability to sort of really look into other people and understand other people will reward you with something that feels so, I guess, universal, but also so unique to you. So it started there. And then from there, I was just like, everything, all the time. Where is it? How do I get it into my brain?
Just this insatiable hunger.
I need to know it all. And so it started there. I moved on to Company. And then since then, it's just been kind of working through his songbook. And he's been like my lifelong Honestly, I know it sounds really cheesy, but like friend. He feels like my friend.
That's not cheesy at all.
Not cheesy at all.
That makes perfect sense, both to us individually, and I think to a lot of people who listen to this. It's like that's what a lot of fandoms are to people, is like a companion in a way that is unshakable.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe I cried so fast. I knew it was going to come. It's just a question 2 minutes.
We can get an actual timestamp for you later if you
Please,
want.
I would really like to know.
Just so you can hold that as a fact in your pocket.
I see.
That's really beautiful, though. And I think that, like, for a lot of people, the things they fall in love with are the things that capture emotions that they don't know how to capture, or like that, that's how I felt about Buffy when I first watched it. Like, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, where you didn't feel like anything had represented you to that point, or like represented something that you had felt, and then you're like, oh my God, it's not just me. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And who knew Mandy Patinkin could sing like this? I only knew him from The Princess Bride. I was like, Mandy,
I know.
you got a voice.
I think I first saw him on Criminal Minds. And when I discovered he was in musicals, I was like, what?
I love that too, because Mandy Patinkin is, much like me, a big marshmallow. So I think I got to a point on Criminal Minds where he was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm too stressed out. I need to go sing a song. Where's Patty LuPone?
I would have liked him much better at the time had I known that. See?
Talk about all of these dead women anymore. It's stressing me out.
Who is Sondheim behind the music? Like, what was his life like before he became Sondheim and like such a renowned composer and creator?
Ooh, interesting question. Sondheim, and I think this really informs his work, has actually had a pretty difficult and strange life. So when he was 13, his parents split up. Not an uncommon experience. And he was put in the custody of his mother, but his mother really did not seem, from what I've heard, like a good mother, kind of like an intense narcissist who took out a lot of her feelings about the divorce on her son. But also, through a great sort of twist of fortune, happened to be a kind of real celebrity hunter and wanted to be everyone's friends because she was also in fashion and was a dressmaker. So through this, Sondheim and she became friends with Oscar Hammerstein II of Rodgers and Hammerstein. And he became great friends with Oscar Hammerstein's son, but then also Oscar Hammerstein became a kind of stand-in father figure for him. And he has said, like, without the Hammersteins, I don't even know if I would be alive, because he stepped in so hugely to inform my world. And then eventually as a musical mentor. So at the age of 15, I think, Sondheim went to Hammerstein and was like, I have written a musical and I think you'll find it's the best thing anyone's ever written. And he said, like, I had this vision that he was going to be like, damn kid, like, let's write musicals together. Fuck Roger. So he was like, be honest. Tell me what you really think. And Oscar Hammerstein was like, okay, if you want me to be really honest, it's the worst piece of shit I've ever read. But if you are willing, I will tell you why, and I will teach you how to make it better. And this begins a really important musical relationship where over years, Oscar Hammerstein taught him how to write, gave him an assignment of like, I want you to try to write a musical based on a book. I want you to try to fix an existing musical. I want you to pick a movie and turn that into a musical. Oh my God. And it took him 7 or 8 years, but he completed the assignment and learned so much.
Oh my God.
And at the same time, he was also bringing Sondheim on as a kind of script writer, as in literally typing out scripts and running for coffees on Carousel, and even gave him the assignment of like, we want to do a treasure hunting scene. And Sondheim was like, I know all about hunting for treasure. I'm a young boy. And so he got to write that part of it. Oh my God. So from there, he became, a writer. He was really interested in writing his own stuff. But for a while, everyone was like, I mean, it's not an uncommon feeling for people to be like, Sondheim, your music feels weird to my ear. And he's like, oops.
It's nice to know that, I don't want to hurt Ghost Sondheim's feelings at all, in my feelings. But it's nice to know that he'd be like, Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Oh, he would completely be like, absolutely. Everybody thinks that about me.
That's fair.
I think that about me.
It's sort of my thing.
It's my thing. But he was trying to become better known as a composer, but was also really well known as a witty writer of lyrics. So he got brought on to write the lyrics for West Side Story, which begins another important mentorship relationship in his life with Leonard Bernstein. So from there, he writes, I mean, at this point, he's already starting to think about expanding what musicals could be. He was like desperate at this point to get fuck. He would be the first person to get the word fuck into a musical.
Did he?
He tried with G. Officer Krupke, but they wouldn't let him. Like, they put it, I think, in a preview, and a producer was like, oh, it fell over.
And so that's how you get the ending of that, the Krupp you.
Krupp
That,
you.
yeah.
He was like, Krupp you is very funny. So, all right.
Damn it, they got me again.
But he's like, I really want to be a composer. So he applied to write the music for Gypsy. Ethel Merman, the then star, was like, I don't like this young startup. I'm Ethel Merman, and what are these melodies? And he's like, again, fair, getting a bit irritated, but all right. So again,
Keep saying it.
God. But he wrote the music, the lyrics to that, and then from there, that was such a big success that he got into writing his own stuff. But I do believe all of that time with Hammerstein informed his writing style, because Hammerstein was quite an experimental writer, and Rodgers and Hammerstein themselves were all about expanding what musicals could be.
Yeah.
I mean,
They love a lot of words in a song, too.
gonna say,
they love a lot
incredibly
of
wordy.
incredibly wordy, but also, you know, South Pacific is the first musical about racism.
Yep.
And really flipping your understanding of a protagonist in that you follow Nellie, and Nellie, up until the end of Act 1, where you're like, this woman is very, very badly prejudiced, and we hate her now, which is an interesting flip. Or Carousel, which is known as kind of changing musical theater writing with the bench scene, which flips in between dramatic scene work and the song If I Love You between Billy Bigelow and Julie Jordan. So Sondheim's informed by all of that, and all of that informs his writing. And then that generosity of spirit that I think changed his life and saved his life in many ways is something that he paid forward forever.
Yeah, because he mentored, I mean, notably, probably many more than this, but Jonathan Larson and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Do you see his influence in their works, or do you see like a through line from Hammerstein all the way? Like, is it? I'm just so curious because I didn't know about his being mentored. I knew about his mentorship.
And if you're listening and you're not a big musical theater person and you don't immediately know the name Jonathan
Larson did Rent
Yes.
and Tick Tick Boom, which is just like Baby Rent. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, very notably, Hamilton, Moana.
Currently the Warriors musical.
Currently the Warriors.
Oh, I'm so excited to listen to
We
that
have to
one.
see it together when it comes out.
We
need
to see
this.
it together. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. A threat.
happen.
Threat on the air.
Just in brackets, threat.
You know what? I would see more of Sondheim's influence in both of those writers, because Rodgers and Hammerstein are much more of the model of previous
Major
musical
General?
theater. A model of yes,
Very
exactly.
good.
Modern
Very
Major
good.
General.
Thank you very much.
good.
Thank you.
But you know, a song that can be lifted out and played on the radio, and they were constantly trying to get Sondheim to write something that could just be a song that a singer could sing, and he was like, "But I don't want that." And no,
But
No.
fuck you.
but fuck you. I mean,
Krupp you?
Krupp you, if you please. The only one of his songs that became a kind of major radio hit and standard was "Send in the Clowns" from A Little Night Music, and even that he was like, I guess. I don't care about it.
If I must.
But I do think you feel that influence, I mean, especially in Rent, where so many of the songs in Rent are kind of dramatic and psychological. There's also a direct line between some of the things that Sondheim has written and certainly like direct songs in both Rent. There's Contact in Rent, the sex number, but that has a direct link to TikTok, which is a dance number in Company where two of the characters have sex. It's usually taken out because it was a dance number for Donna McKechnie, and he's like, I did, but there's that linkage. The Room Where It Happens finds its roots in a song that Sondheim wrote called Someone in a Tree, which is much like The Room Where It Happens, all about these men kind of watching from outside this room where these major treaties are being signed, and the way that history kind of happens not in these exact direct moments, but by the people who are onlookers listening in. And then there's also like, it's not just in the writing, like there is a direct Stephen Sondheim got Jonathan Larson his first agent. Stephen Sondheim wrote letter upon letter upon letter recommending him for grants and trying to get him more money. Stephen Sondheim was the person when he was writing Tick, Tick, Boom to be like, this is not your best work. You are capitulating to what you think people want, and this is not who you are, and set him on the path to writing Rent and was like, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, and he shows up in the movie
Tick,
Tick,
Boom.
Sondheim shows up.
Which is also so charming because when Lin-Manuel Miranda reached out to him, Sondheim was like, of course I would love to have my voice appear, but I wouldn't say that. May I please propose a rewrite? And so rewrote his own dialogue to be like, well, I would use the word swell. And Lin-Manuel Miranda was like, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever you want. Sir.
Anything for you.
But Lin-Manuel Miranda also went to Sondheim to be like, I'm thinking of writing a musical about one of the founding fathers. And he was like, absolutely. Yes, 100%. So
That sounds insane. I'm in.
I love it. Make sure that none of the songs can be on the radio.
Yeah, that is something that I find so interesting about the fact that you can't get behind Sondheim is that Rent and Hamilton are two of your favorite musicals.
Yeah, I mean, it is ironic that you're like, there's a direct correlation between the song Contact and thing. I was like, Contact is the worst part of Rent. I'm so sorry. I
it's
hate
not a great
that
song.
scene.
It's not my favorite scene. But I think it sort of speaks to the way I seen Sondheim as someone who almost tills the earth of musical theater.
Yeah.
He's in there with his little kind of plow and he's breaking it up and he's just providing fertile ground for a new generation to come.
Which again, like, I may not enjoy the output of his creativity, but he sounds like a really incredible person and a really important figure for modern Broadway.
Yeah, I feel like there is a big difference between not personally connecting to something and thinking it is.
I'd hang with his ghost. We'd be buds.
Or like,
We'd have a great time.
I'm sure a lot of the musicals that you like have been influenced by it in one way or another, besides even just Rent and the other one, Hamilton, in a way that, yeah, like sometimes an artist is useful on so many levels, right? Rather than just the one. Anyway, this isn't about you. This is about you.
But I love what you say about it being fun to hang out with Sondheim because it genuinely sounds like it was so much fun to hang out with Sondheim. Danny Burstein is a wonderful actor who's in a lot of musicals. And when he was about 16, he wrote to Sondheim this big fan letter with all of these questions about Merrily We Roll Along, which is one of Sondheim's bigger flops that has recently been reclaimed. And Sondheim wrote back and was like, I could answer your questions in a letter, but do you just want to come over and I'll answer them in person? And so Danny Burstein, I think he might have been a bit older actually, because he would have been old enough to drink, but he got there and Sondheim's got this chilled carafe of white wine. He's like, what do you want to know, kid? And he answered all of his questions.
Oh my God.
That makes me want to cry. That makes me want to cry.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh my God.
Or even James Lapine, who is was a frequent collaborator, when they were writing Sunday in the Park with George together, Sondheim was so jazzed by working in an even more experimental form and off Broadway. They describe that process of like, they get blazingly high and go and see the show and then come back and be so excited. And they had this sort of magic hour of like 4 p.m. before the show where they're like, time to get high. And they're like, do that. And he was just so excited and joyous. I mean, certainly the thing that everyone says about Sondheim is like he loved collaboration. He loved to work with other people.
Oh, I love that so much.
So important. It's so important.
I just love that in a personality too.
Yeah.
Like it really sounds like the more I learn about this guy, the more he just had a genuine love and enthusiasm for the craft of the thing. And anybody who matched that enthusiasm, he just instantly was like, yep, we're friends.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Which I find very relatable. Like, you also want to talk about obscure television? Let's go.
Like Larson and Lin-Manuel Miranda, they're nerds.
Yeah.
They're friggin' nerds.
That's
for
totally
musicals.
what it is. It's a nerd thing.
And I think that is so beautiful. And this is something I'm just learning about Sondheim. It's just like, imagine if someone was your idol in a nerdy space and then they're like, yeah, man, what do you want to know? Let's be buds. Let me help you be a nerd. Yeah. Like, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's very pleasant.
I'm
like
getting
that very
emotional
much.
about this part.
Yes.
I don't even care about his music. I like this dude.
He's a great dude. Yeah, the stories that came out after he died were so many people. I mean, I think it was Chris Pine and Billy Magnuson who played the princes in the Into the Woods movie.
Yes.
Yep.
And they're recording the song and they're so nervous because Sondheim's there, kind of like buttholes tight as a pin. And Sondheim came over and was like, you two, I was really kind of thinking as you were singing, and I think I kind of want to switch up the lyrics a little bit because you do this and you do, and what do you guys think? And they were like, yes, please. And he was like, great. But everyone has these stories of Sondheim being so excited by the prospect of working and getting to know people, and yes, activating their nerdy space in like a very real way of being like, how can I constantly be paying it forward what I received?
He seems deeply unpretentious for a man who's oft referred to as Shakespeare.
Yes, I think he would be like, I hate that. No one say that anymore.
Cut it out.
Wait, once again, very unpretentious.
Yes, absolutely.
There are so many writers out there that would be like, yes, do it. Refer to me as
Yes,
Shakespeare.
I am
I'm a
Shakespeare.
genius. Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he was like, please don't. I think to someone he was like, don't think of me as my reputation. I'm just a nice Jewish boy from the Upper East Side.
Oh, I like him so much.
I just love my musicals.
I just love musicals.
All right, so when it comes to his work, are there any like ideas or themes that tend to reappear over and over? Like, what kind of stories was he specifically like driven to tell?
Oh my gosh. Well, there are two impulses. Sondheim is really, he was such a curious person. And so on the outside, it seems as though there's no connection between any one of his stories. I mean, this is a guy who's like, I would like to make an English Victorian Penny Dreadful into sort of the first American opera, and that's Sweeney Todd. And he's like, and now I want to write about the westernization of Japan, and that's Pacific Overtures.
Yeah.
But I do think the commonality through all of his work is ambivalence, a feeling of ambivalence, and working through things psychologically. So in Company, a lot of the music there is about getting something you want and having mixed feelings about it. A song like Sorry Grateful talks about the experience of being married, and the lyrics are, you're always sorry, you're always grateful, you always wonder what might have been, then she walks in. But then that's echoed in Follies, where the characters are talking about how, your life can take a couple of paths, and trying to convince themselves that the path they took they felt good about, but the music is always playing in a sort of discordant way in the background to be like, but do they feel good? But are they feeling good
tasty.
about that? Someone said, like, no one wrote about ambivalence with more clarity than Sondheim. And he was really just about exploring the tension that comes between, not knowing what you want or trying to figure it out, getting what you want and not being sure about it, figuring out who you are.
That's particularly interesting in a medium where I want songs are a thing.
Yes.
Like it's a medium where by definition, a lot of it is very much about feeling a certain way so strongly you have to sing about it.
Yeah, I know what I want, and I'm going to use this to drive forward to get what I want because I'm so crystal clear about it.
So
absolutely.
That already feels very unique.
Yes, 100%. Follies is such an interesting show because all of the numbers in that start out as like, I love my life. And then later on, they're kind of like, here's what I'm trying to convince myself that I want. And by the end, they get more psychologically naked as the characters, I guess, ids are stripped bare. But yeah, it totally inverts that usual I want structure, which is, it just introduces so much more for an actor to do. A lot of times, too, a song will move forward the plot, but his songs are always about exposing someone's, I guess, frame of mind, or in the case of something like Into the Woods, walking you through someone's thought process. A song like On the Steps of the Palace is Cinderella just being like, what do I think about what's currently happening to me? And what am I going to do next? And by the end, she has made a decision, but it's interesting to just be in that space with her as she figures something out.
Yeah, that song's a bit of an anxiety attack, if I remember it correctly.
That Sondheim is an anxiety attack musically.
Honestly, I think that's why I relate to him. A lot of his music is just, I'm having an anxiety attack. And I'm either trying to tell you that I'm not or revealing that I am.
And that's why I'm like running away from it. I'm like, I already have this. I don't need you to put this on me.
I need this
put
to
it
be
away.
simpler. Yeah.
Yes, please. Just make everything nice and clean and in a beautiful little package for me so I don't have to think about
So
it.
I can clarify this. Yeah,
Oh,
okay. We're getting to the bottom of it,
we
folks.
are peeling back the layers.
I get it. I do think that a lot of Sondheim is like holding up a mirror to yourself. And sometimes that feels good and sometimes it feels bad.
I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I see. Myself? I didn't care to think about that. No, thank you,
I was just in the middle of doing chores. I didn't need this kind of revelation.
I know I look like crap and I don't want to see. Okay, so we talked about sort of thematically what he's doing, and he's written so many different types of music, but is there something musically that defines a Sondheim?
Yes, there is a very particular Sondheim sound. He was drawn to a lot of minimalist composers, a lot of romantic composers. He loved Ravel, but he also loved Steve Reich. I would say the hallmarks of his sound are harmony and also a kind of like deep sort of clarinet-y fun saxophone sound.
Very 70s, 80s.
Yeah. But you also hear that tension and like he's doing contemporary stuff with operatic classical structure. So he's not fitting in with musical theater. He's melding a lot of different things together. So when you listen to his stuff, you're like, I'm hearing a lot of similar tones and textures coming through, but it all kind of sounds of a piece. His other big dictum was form dictates content, which is why his music all sounds so different. So for Pacific Overtures, he was writing in a more Japanese style of writing. For Sunday in the Park with George, he's employing the pointillist aesthetic that George Seurat used.
So cool.
So cool.
Okay, what does that mean? I've heard about this where it's like he's using pointillism musically. What does that mean?
Okay, great question. Okay, so pointillism is a form of art where it's just teeny tiny dots of color that come together into a whole.
Almost like proto-digital in a way.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very, I was going to say very, very good. I'm not your teacher. What am I doing here?
Excellent.
Thank you.
A+.
Dive backwards out of the window. So the music in Sunday in the Park with George, it's not melodic through lines. It's a lot of like like tiny little sounds.
That's so cool.
And it's reflected in the lyrics. The lyrics of Sunday, the big song, are like, Sunday by the cool, purple, yellow, red water in the green, purple, yellow, like all of the colors that are individual. And then Follies, which is all about a sort of former vaudevillian review. He's busting out all kinds of different songs. Like, here's a little duo song that two people might have done while they were tap dancing, and here's a torch song, and here's a patter song. And so everything he does, he's just trying to be like, what works for this world? How do I evoke this world in the music?
I find that so impressive every time I see an artist do it. Like one of my favorite novelists, David Mitchell, like he wrote Cloud Atlas, and it's most stark in Cloud Atlas, but he does it through all of his books, is that every chapter is sort of a different genre and he writes differently in each of them. And it's just like, this is so hard to do. Like, it's so hard to do that because some artists like spend their whole lives trying to get good at one thing.
Oh my God, I know. I completely agree. I think about it sometimes in terms of my own work, being like, imagine if I were able to write a perfect film noir and then a perfect romance.
It's insane.
A perfect action movie. I would, I don't know, encase myself in amber because I would be like, I'm too perfect to live. This is too amazing.
Yeah, I work so hard to just try and be baseline good at one thing.
I feel all of my energy on a daily basis is being marshaled to walking in a straight line. Like, how this dude is doing all of this different stuff, I will never know.
But it just seems like it comes from a place of like curiosity about all of those things and how they work.
Yeah, I want to learn about this, so I'm going to do it by writing, by creating.
Like nothing's off limits in terms of his interest in it, and I find that's so compelling.
Yeah, I think his big thing was just like, if it feels like it needs to sing, then I'll write it.
Oh, I like that very much.
No, I know.
Okay.
Isn't he so likable?
He's very likable.
So okay, that's a lot about Sondheim. What about you and your relationship? Like, what are your favorite of the, like, what's, if you had to pick one show that you feel like is the one you love the most?
Oh my God.
And we will go through all of them. So like, you can just pick one this at this moment, if that's helpful.
It's so hard.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
I will say the one that I love the most of all of them is Sunday in the Park with George. Because certainly as someone who is a writer, aspires to write, or be an artist, it speaks so much to writing, but it also speaks to something that, if you've listened to our musical flops episode of this show, you will know sits, very dear to my heart, or is a fascination of mine. it is about failure because it comes on the heels of Merrily We Roll Along, which was a huge flop. And after that, he was like, I think I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't have it in me. I am going to go and write crossword puzzles for the rest of my life.
We also have an episode on that.
But there's something about Sunday in the Park with George that to me is about, well, it's about the tension again, the ambivalence between, you know, are you trying to pursue pure art? Are you trying to be commercially successful? And reconciling this failed relationship as he's going through all of this. And the kind of the thing that comes out of Sunday in the Park with George is like, there's just a place for everything, and nothing is failure, and no energy is wasted. And I saw it in New York with Jake Gyllenhaal and Annalee Ashford, and I cried so hard that the people on both sides of me asked to be replaced. And
oh my God.
I saw them being moved to different seats. I see.
That makes me so happy. You're like, I'm going to feel how I'm going to feel. You have to figure this out.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
in it.
not my problem.
You sort your shit.
That's gold star fandom as far as I'm
That
concerned.
is beautiful.
Thank you.
That
Thank
is
you.
beautiful.
Would you say that is your favorite live production you've ever seen? Because that's another thing I'm curious about.
Oh,
Live Sondheim production.
Oh man, I've seen some really good ones. I saw the Raul Esparza one live, and that was extraordinary.
And that's Company.
That's Company. Yes, thank you. Watching Heather Law's rendition of Getting Married Today, which is one of my favorite Sondheim songs because it's so hard, and she has done it, I think, faster than anyone else ever has. Seeing that live, I was like, I don't understand.
How is this possible?
How is this possible?
And not even just like recorded, like it is.
How are you
She's
saying
doing this every
so
night.
many words so fast.
All of the words so quickly, like, and how are you staying on the that's the thing that gets me about Sondheim too, is like, if you fall off the train mid-song, you're not getting back on.
No, that train is gone. That is in the next city.
There was an actor, I can't remember his name, but he talked about, he was in A Funny Thing Happens on the Way to the Forum and was performing Comedy Tonight, the first number of the show, and forgot all of the lyrics. And he was like,
Oh my God.
there's nothing that you could do. So he just kept going, something, ha, ha, something, something for everyone, comedy tonight. Audience was like, less than no stars.
That makes. Oh my
I know,
God.
it's so stressful. I think you have to do the thing that Andrew Rannells did one night in Hamilton, where he was on as Prince George and he went up on his lyrics and he was like, so he just started mouthing and then kind of like touching his hand to his ear or to his mouth as if to be like, there's something wrong with the song, like the sound in the theater. It's not me.
Oh my God, that's so brilliant.
That's
I know,
so
it's
smart.
So,
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so smart. And he got off stage and the stage manager was sweating bullets. It was like, I don't know what happened. Like, we checked, everything was working perfectly. And he was like, it's fine. I forgot everything. I don't even know where I am right now. So that's what you gotta do. You just gotta be like, I mean, like, there's so many, the filmed original version of Sunday in the Park with George is very, very important to me. And I love that version. But also it's like the filmed version of Sweeney Todd with George Hearn and the Philharmonic and Patti LuPone is like, oh my God, everything. It's everything.
It's everything. Don't make me choose.
I can't do it.
I'm leaving.
Do it.
I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore.
Keep diving backwards through a wall, but that is how I feel about that.
Okay, here's something that will probably be a little bit easier. In terms of movie adaptations, has anyone ever gotten it right?
no.
Because I know that Sondheim himself was like, yeah, sure, I like Sweeney Todd, but I know a lot of Sondheim fans strongly disagree with that.
I mean, Helena Bonham Carter is not a singer.
Neither of them are.
Yes.
Anyway, we're giving you a second to compose yourself.
In my humble opinion, and others might disagree, no. I hated Sweeney Todd so much. And there's also there's a moment where Anthony Stewart Head walks by in the filmed version of Sweeney Todd.
He was right there.
I was like, what are you doing? Why is
We know he can sing.
A beautiful voice, Anthony Stewart Head. A beautiful voice.
It's just, it feels, now Sondheim's big thing was like, if you can't sing my music, I actually don't care. All I care about is I just care about the acting. And that's another thing I love about him is that he introduces this broad range of voices into musical theater. So Send in the Clowns, he wrote for Glynis Johns, who has a very lovely voice, but limited, limited breath control, limited phrasing. And he very specifically wrote the song for her so it would end on quick thoughts like, isn't it rich? That's a completed thought. You can get a breath. Like, aren't we queer? Losing my timing so late in my career. And it doesn't have to be sung. It's not expansive in the notes, but it was perfectly for her. So all this by way of saying that Sondheim was like, you don't have to be brilliant, but people have been brilliant who have sung it, and that is what I want. I don't want to hear Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter being like, eh?
The fact that she's ended up in 2 movie musicals makes me want to scream. She was in Les Mis as well as
she sure
Madame
was.
Thénardier. And stop.
That movie had its own issues with people who had no right being in it. And I'm not, I can't say I know a ton about Les Mis. I've seen it live once, but even I was like,
I could do a whole episode about how much I hate that movie, how much I love that I hate that movie. That's your show.
I was gonna
That's just
say,
you.
that
Come
episode
on.
exists.
We'll talk about Les Mis again because I have a lot of feelings about it. And I think Kat was sort of blown backwards by the gale force of my opinion. So I was like, and Eddie Redmayne is out of control.
Let me tell you something about singing live on set.
And another thing about Hugh Jackman's range, it's not that. She was like, I have to leave.
This is not our show. This is not our show.
I do. This is a total side tangent, but I do love so much that Russell Crowe was just so excited to be in that movie.
That is really
he's
cute.
the worst part of that movie.
Yeah,
I have
poor
to
guy.
say. But he was so excited that he got to play that part, and he'd like have people over and just talk about how much he loved Les Mis.
You can't say he didn't try.
He tried.
It's not his fault.
It's not his fault
he
that they
can't sing it.
CGI'd his body bouncing off of rocks at the end.
One of many problems.
What a fuck you, too. Can you imagine if you went to see yourself in a theater and there's your body just pinballing off the roof? I'd be like, guys.
Honestly, if I ever go to see myself in a major movie in a theater, I hope it's that.
I would love it.
Be like, this is what I was born to do.
Just ping pong me down.
Where were we? Right,
So the movies are a no.
Yeah.
Any of them? Any moments of them that were okay for you?
I do like Meryl Streep as the witch in Into the Woods.
Well,
I do.
she's
love-
Meryl Streep.
She's Meryl.
Wait,
I mean,
what has she ever done wrong?
exactly. I mean, I think Chris Pine and Billy Magnuson as the princes are perfect.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
I think, and like nothing against Emily Blunt and Anna Kendrick, they just don't quite have the voices I want.
Yeah.
Like, I want a Laura Benanti who did Into the Woods, had a miserable time with it, but that's just because she broke her neck on stage, and that's not anyone.
I'm sorry, what?
Isn't that a thing that usually kills you?
Yes. Yes, it is like, it's a freak. I love that we're going into musical tangents. That's really good. I do
Tangents
feel
are
like
the
the
name of the
Flash
game.
again. But yeah, it was just the production company. They asked her to do a pratfall off a moving piece of furniture, and she was like 20. Ooh. And she was like, I didn't feel comfortable, but I also was 20, and I didn't feel ready to say no.
Yeah.
And one night she did it, and her legs went all the way over her head in a way that everyone was like, something is wrong. And then she was just in pain for a long time and kept having to call out of the show, but they didn't want to accept any responsibility. So the producers kept being like, I don't know, flaky 20-year-old. Finally, she gets into Nine, the musical Nine, with Antonio Banderas, and Mary Stuart Masterson became a friend of hers and was like, you need to go to a doctor now. And it was revealed that she'd broken her neck and one of the vertebrae was pushing into her spinal cord.
What the hell?
And was slowly cutting off spinal fluid. And it was just a miracle that she hadn't been jolted or nudged in a way since the accident where she would have been paralyzed forever.
Wait, and just to clarify, she continued to do the show after that point, including that pratfall?
Including that pratfall.
Oh my God.
I know.
She somehow didn't die.
She somehow didn't die. And finally, I mean, she did have to eventually leave the show pretty quickly. Like, I don't think she did it very much after the accident.
Still a miracle.
But still a miracle. Like, I mean, she's wonderful. And she's got the most glorious voice. And that's what I want to hear as
my
Cinderella. I know. What a trooper, eh?
I didn't breathe through you talking about that.
really
That was
stressful.
that's so scary.
terrifying.
And I want to stress Sondheim had no responsibility.
If you are a musical theater actor and you don't feel safe, don't do it.
It's not worth
Nothing
it.
is worth this.
Nothing's worth you getting hurt. No
Absolutely
entertainment
nothing.
role.
There is nothing wrong with the word no, and there's nothing wrong with being perceived as being a little bit difficult. It's much better
Patty
than being innate.
LuPone made her career on it.
And bless her. Here's to the ladies who lunch, you
I
know?
love her so much. Patty LuPone was also, she was like, I'd like to play Cinderella, please. And Sondheim was like,
I'm going to have to
love
disagree
this
with him
for
on this
you.
one because I would have loved a Patty LuPone Cinderella.
and he was like, the witch. And she was like, me, a witch? Why?
Cue and Agatha all along.
She's like, I guess I see it now.
Yeah, the show
Fine.
where they don't let her sing really even once.
Just tragic. Tragic.
Absolutely tragic.
Okay, if you were, I mean, this is very funny, me saying this question. If you were to try to convert someone to Sondheim's work, what would be the avenue and what songs would you use to reel them in?
Oh, wow. Okay. I would pick a range of songs because I do think what can kind of be jarring to the ear is that he does write a lot of really lyrically dense patter songs. I like to think of Stephen Sondheim as kind of like the Simone-Biles of musical theater.
Backflips after backflips.
Yes, exactly. Like in the same way that Simone is like, I can't just do two. I'm simply too powerful.
My body won't stop.
Yes.
It has to do 7.
It has to do something. We have to invent a new move where I flip through the air 10 times over a fleet of cars and land on my pinky finger. We're like, yeah, Simone, you're very, very good at what you do.
I guess that's just what needs to happen then.
So there are a lot of Sondheim songs where you're like, wow, that's a lot of rhyming words all at once. The ones that I think can really convert people are the ones that are simpler but really emotionally true. Finishing the Hat, absolutely. I would say A Little Priest from Sweeney Todd,
That
which
was
is
the
just
first one ever got me.
puns after puns after puns all the way down.
It's so good
It's
because
so
I did see the movie and I didn't know better at the time. So I was like, this is great. Perfect. I love Tim Burton.
He's never done anything weird or wrong to me, that's for sure.
I'm 12.
I mean, what a great age to be exposed to that.
Yeah.
I would say No One Is Alone from Into the Woods, which is an enormously comforting song. Uncomfortable, but comforting. The one that fucks me up is Anyone Can Whistle from Anyone Can Whistle, another of his floppy shows. But it's, well, let's get vulnerable because I've already cried, so why not? You know, in the spirit of many comedians, I like to use humor as a buffer between my real feelings and the world.
I don't know what you're talking
What do
about.
you mean?
I'm
Yeah,
the
no, I've never
only
heard of
one
that.
here who knows this.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Anyone Can Whistle is this really beautiful song about someone, the main female character of the show, just revealing how hard it is for her to do vulnerable things, to make herself vulnerable. And the lyrics are like, you know, like, I can do a tango, I can read Greek, but like, I can't do something as simple as whistle. And then the part that always gets me is like, what's hard is simple, what's natural comes hard. Maybe you could show me how to let go. Lower my guard. Learn to be free. Oh.
Okay, we're all going to just
This
sit
episode has to end
silently
right
for
now.
a second.
We have to stop. We have to turn off the cameras.
It's a lot. Everyone who's listening, sit in the dark. Turn off the lights
Take a moment.
right now. If you're in a car, turn off your car. I don't care.
Are you on the highway? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. That one's huge for me. There's some really funny ones. A Weekend in the Country from A Little Night Music is the Act 1 closer, and it's so funny. Where it's just so, I mean, it's about Sweden, but it's so British in its sensibilities. Where it's the young bride being like, oh, I've gotten this amazing invitation, and oh no, it's from my husband's former lover who she's currently in love with. And the lyrics are like, between her and her maid Petra being like, a weekend in the country, how exciting, and her being like, what a horrible plot. A weekend in the country, I'm excited. No, you're not. Like, it's just witty and fun and bouncy. Oh my gosh, what are the other ones? Pacific Overtures, you got to build up to that one. Even he's like, it's a big one.
It takes getting used to.
But I would start with an Into the Woods. Oh my God, Being Alive from Company.
I
Oh my
love that
God.
song so much. I love that song so much.
So good. It is, and it's, I mean, him in a nutshell. It's all about the joy and the terror that comes from loving anything, of making yourself that vulnerable, and how exciting and horrifying it can be, but how it's a part of being alive.
Oh, it's so good. I feel like, okay, whenever I listen to his, like, the lyrics you were just quoting, whenever I hear him like do a turn of phrase like that, that's so good. I get this like tingle in my brain. Like, is there a word for being like horny, but for words specifically? like, that's what it's like. It's just this like heightened thing of being like, oh my God.
Sondheim.
Yeah, Sondheim. Yeah.
Yes, it does really give me a word boner.
Yeah.
But a turn of phrase boner.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because there's just, I mean, this is what I find so amazing too about his work is that a song is not a long time for any kind of writing. 3 minutes to tell a whole story, and a very kind of within that 3 minutes, small turns of phrase within to get something across. So to be able to say something that's so like, yes, I get that immediately. That's true in that short length of time is such an extraordinary skill.
And not only that, but to do that and have these little witticisms, to also have such a deep emotion, like to turn people's emotions to be like happy, sad, yearning. It's like that is so hard to accomplish. I feel like we were talking about this with Bluey, for example, just like having the shortest amount of time to have such a big impact and to do it so skillfully.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
Absolutely. Honestly, I feel confident in saying that Sondheim would have fucking loved Bluey. Really,
like those little dogs made me feel stuff.
The crossover you didn't know you needed.
We need a beautiful.
Haunts my body to be like, no, I didn't, you cretin.
I thought it was swell.
I thought it was swell.
Charming. It was a charming show.
Speaking of the things that old Steve did and did not like, do you know what his favorite of his work was or his least favorite? Because I know I've read that he has mixed feelings about West Side Story, for instance, specifically the song I Feel Pretty, which I think he loathed.
Yes, he hates I Feel Pretty, but he only hates his own writing, where he was like, his take on it was, it's so obvious that I'm trying to impress people, like you can really feel the writer and not the character. And why would Maria say things like, I feel pretty and witty and gay? She doesn't think that. That's so stupid. Like, Sondheim is constantly out there being like, can we cut that? And everyone's like, Stephen, no.
It's good. Shut up, Stephen.
It's too well known now. We can't take it out.
We want to hear it, please. So yeah, he hates West Side Story. He likes Something's Coming, but doesn't love his own work in that.
That's a good one.
A lot of people think that Company and Sunday in the Park with George are autobiographical.
Yeah.
They're not, according to him at least. But he does love the song Opening Doors from Merrily We Roll Along, which is really about, he said, himself, Harold Prince, the director, and Mary Rogers, another writer, when they were young, trying to like literally open doors in the industry, writing things and seeing every show and having opinions about everything that he saw. His favorite thing that he ever wrote was Someone in a Tree from Pacific Overtures, the kind of precursor to A Room Where It Happens. And again, that's a song that really moves me because it takes place from the vantage point of three people around this treaty house where something is being signed as Japan is being westernized. Again, a big swing of a musical.
Yep.
But it's a little boy in a tree, and it's someone underneath the floorboards for some reason, and there's an old man there, and they keep saying, like, I was there then, I am here still, and like what it feels like to know that something momentous is taking place. And he was like, I was really proud of that. Aww. Dare I say, it was swell.
It's always fun to see what artists like will admit was good.
Yeah.
that they did. You know?
What's the nerdiest thing you've done in relation to your Sondheim fandom?
Oh my God.
You're not allowed to say talk about it at every
and you're not allowed to say I made two people move away from me.
Yeah. I was going to say, is it making two people move?
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Those are good, but they're already on the table. Give us another offer.
He's probably working really hard to memorize the lyrics to his songs.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I do a lot of practicing Getting Married Today in the shower to be like, could I do it? If I were called upon. It's really hard.
We'll go to Broadway karaoke. We'll test you out.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a real chance that I could get started and then the proverbial wheels on the car will just all fall off at the same time. And then it's just me spitting into a microphone for about 5 minutes.
It is this funny thing about really, really loving a fandom, having this like imaginary scenario in which somebody is like, you.
Yes.
It's
Your
like
moment.
is there a doctor in the house kind of moment that you mentally prepare for of like, this person's dying. Does anyone know all the words to not getting married today?
I do. Well, it doesn't help this person. Part of me is everybody there.
Like sometimes I will catch myself reciting episodes of seasons of television out loud to be like, do I still know all the episodes in order? What if somebody asks what?
That is me with
really
the
love
Bridge of Waterfalls, the rap breakdown
Yes.
of the song
Oh,
Waterfalls by
yes.
TLC.
No, it's important.
Absolutely.
It's important to know some things are in the pocket. I will say I also like to kind of fan cast people in my mind in Sondheim shows.
Ooh, that's fun.
I've done it for both of you. I've done it for myself.
Okay, well, what now we need to
Yeah,
know.
please let us know all our rules.
Steph Malik, you would be an exceptional Gypsy Rose Lee. You would be
Okay.
exceptional as the baker's wife in Into the Woods.
Oh, I see that.
You, which leads me to, you would play the baker. How cute is
tracks.
that?
That's
That'd be
pretty
cute.
adorable.
What
yeah.
a nice time. You two singing It Takes Two. I'd lose it. What else? Oh, what else
What
was
would
in
you
there?
be?
I would, well, there's a lot that I would give myself because I really love this Is There a Doctor in the House analogy because it's absolutely accurate. That I just imagine someone being like, hello, Jocelyn, it's the Philharmonic. We need you tonight. We're sending the jet. I'd want to be Mrs. Lovett for sure.
Oh man, you'd make a great Mrs. Lovett.
I would want to I think you would be an amazing Dot in Sunday in the Park with George because she's such a fun character.
I was going to say, is that one of the dots on the painting?
She is a Dot. Well, an allusion to the dots, but no, she plays George Seurat's lover who leaves him, but then reappears in the second act as Dot's daughter, Marie, George in the second act's grandmother. And then she sings another really beautiful song called Children and Art, which also is too much for me. Oh, God. But Dot, you would be an exceptional Charlie in Merrily We Roll Along.
Is that the Daniel Radcliffe role?
That's the Daniel Radcliffe role. Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe just won a Tony for another of the most infamously difficult Sondheim songs, Franklin Shepherd Inc., where he has a huge falling out with his best friend Franklin Shepherd in a talk show and is just kind of like losing it and talking about what it's like to actually work with him and trying to do anything while Franklin is juggling all of these competing phone calls and then playing his own secretary. And it's amazing to watch Daniel Radcliffe do it. And Jonathan Groff and Lindsay Mendez, who are in the show with him, said like before every show, they just see him pacing around being like,
I love Daniel Radcliffe so
love
much.
him.
I
love him
Over the years, he's really endeared himself to me.
Absolutely. Oh,
Similarly, Jonathan Bailey, who plays Fiero in the Wicked musical, and
can't.
ruled.
Yeah, he was
God,
amazing.
he's so
He
good.
won an Olivier for the gender swap version of Company, where instead of playing Amy, he played Jamie and sang Getting Married Today. And he said, like, there came a point in the run where I would just wake up at 2:30 and be like, pardon me, is everybody? Everywhere I went, like, he'd see people kind of looking at him and realize he was just sort of muttering the words. Anyway, we're not talking about him, even though I could forever. We're talking about you. So Charlie and Merrily We Roll Along. I would also say you would be an exceptional Buddy in Follies, who sings another very difficult patter song, the God, Why Don't You Love Me? Oh, You Do, You'll See You Later blues. You would be a great Sally, Sally who is married to Buddy. Difficult marriage, so... but,
Less
you know,
the baker wife situation.
less the baker wife situation. Who else would I do? Amy. I want to play Amy. I want to play Amy so badly.
Yeah.
I know exactly that feeling. Just freaking out and having so much to say about it.
So many words. Okay, I've got a little mini game for you. I'm going to name one of Sondheim's musicals, and I want you to only give me 3 to 4 words to describe that musical.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so we're starting because there's 20 of them, so I'm going to do this real fast.
Okay.
Saturday Night,
Young and experienced, sweet.
West Side Story,
Experimental, bold, funny.
Gypsy,
Witty, complex, challenging.
A funny thing happened on the way to the forum. It feels unfair. I got so many words, and you.
Oh no, I love it. It really feels like the inverse of Sondheim in a great way. I'm being forced to be pithy. And
Brevity.
I like it. Yes, exactly. I like that he was like, brevity is the soul of wit, and we're like, Sondheim, you wouldn't know from your music.
Yeah, no one can tell you think that.
Yeah, I'm just briefing each single individual line.
I would say for funny thing, it would be elegant, surprising debut.
Anyone can whistle.
break my heart.
Do I hear a waltz?
Didn't like it. He didn't like it.
Okay. Evening Primrose.
Weird, fun, weird. Very weird.
Company.
Revolutionary, extraordinary, heartfelt.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I am Amy.
Yes, me, please.
Okay. Follies.
Ooh, I'm going to borrow one of his own words to say dour, because it is dour, experimental, heartbreaking,
A little night music.
fun, farce, fucking.
The 3 Fs.
The classic Fs.
Here's another F for you. The Frogs.
Frogs.
What a weird name for a music.
Yeah, I have never heard of that in my life.
The Frogs is a one-act he wrote for Yale University, and it's actually the first time he ever worked with Meryl Streep, because she was a student there and was in the chorus. And then they briefly put it on Broadway with Chris Kattan, and then they were like,
Chris Kattan?
I know. And then they were like,
That's
well,
insane.
this was a mistake.
Never mind. Cancel it. Put it away.
I think that's literally, they were like,
Chris Kattan mistake.
The Frogs, featuring Nathan Lane and Chris Kattan, and we have canceled ourselves. We are sorry.
We heard it. We heard it out loud.
I would say for the Frogs, it's all right.
That's 2 words, and it does not need a third.
Another one. You're right.
It does not require it. We canceled the third one. Pacific Overtures.
Oh, intricate. I feel like I've already used challenging, so I can't use that again.
Hard.
Intricate, hard,
Difficult.
rare. It's rarely performed, but it's wonderful.
Okay.
Sweeney Todd.
Hilarious, fun horror.
But do include the gasp. Merrily we roll along.
Oh man. I'm gonna cheat ever so slightly. A swing, so that's 2 words. Misunderstood, and good. I'm gonna say good. It is good.
This one's going to be hard for you. Sunday in the Park with George.
God.
Crying.
Yes. Life-changing, important. God. Infinite.
Oh.
Well, back to the dark we go. Everyone sit and
Everyone
think about
stop.
what we did.
Pause the episode.
Into the woods.
Ooh. Another cheat. More complex than you think.
That last one was hyphenated. I don't know if you could hear it.
Assassins.
Ooh. Diverse. Empathetic. And truthful.
These are
Passion.
Amazing words you're choosing.
Oh, passion. Oh, this one's a really hard one. Passion is another really big swing. But passion, I would say it's altering. I feel like I've said the word expansive a lot today, but expansive and scary.
Okay.
Oh.
2 more.
Roadshow.
Not his best.
That one was so easy for some
the
reason.
easiest one.
Roadshow, he kept being like, what is this? I can't figure it out. It kept coming back, and everyone in it would be like, Steven. He was like, I know.
I find that so comforting when it's
know.
like, you're a genius. And even at that point, you were like, I don't fucking know.
Yes, very much so.
And last but not least, here we are.
Oh, man. I'm going to borrow a line from Sunday in the Park with George. So much more to see. It's more lines than you asked for. But when I was listening to it, I was like, I just can't believe that you wrote this when you were 90.
It is his last work,
It
right?
is his last work, yeah. And it's based on 2 surrealist films by Louis Buñuel. And audiences were like, what? And he was like, excellent.
He's just sitting in the back with his popcorn being like, good, be confused.
This rules. Still got it, Stevie. Still got it.
Fuck him up, Steven. Yeah. Drinking his cold carafe of white wine with his 2 poodles and his his much younger husband.
Puts both hands over his chest like Dracula and dies on his
Good night, Gladys.
And I'm out. Like, it's just a full Betty White exit.
Completely. Ghost comes right out of the theater and up into Steph today.
It was all about you, Stevie.
You're welcome.
It was all about the ghost.
Before we wrap up, any last thoughts about Sondheim you desperately need to get out into the world?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, first of all, I want to say thank you so much. I feel as though my body has cracked in half and just like a pure rainbow has come out. This has been so magical to get to share my love of him with both of you. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
I would say if there's one thought I want to leave people with about Sondheim is that I believe the thing that underpinned all of his work was curiosity. And curiosity to me goes hand in hand with empathy and compassion. A lot of people had a criticism of Sondheim that he was not an emotional man, and I've never understood it because more than any writer I can think of, he was so interested in other people's points of view and different people from himself, and really, you know, in a very deep, important way, getting into other people's heads. And it's how he could write, you know, incredible songs for kind of bitchy alcoholics like the ladies who lunch, and it's how he can write from the point of view of a 15-year-old girl who just wants her mom in the glamorous life. So I would say if there's one thing you can take, there's two things you can take away from Sondheim, it's curiosity and a willingness to expose yourself to different things, and to be, you know, I think if you feel discomfort when you listen to his work, I think that's what he wanted. I think he just wanted people to remain porous to other influences, other points of view. Even if you come away from it and you're like, not for me, I think he would be like, amazing. I'm going to write another complicated musical piece about a surrealist filmmaker. And curiosity about other people's talents, which is how he could look at someone like Jonathan Larson and be like, I don't know if there's a space for pop music in musicals, and prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And to Lin-Manuel Miranda, I don't know. I don't know how you would put rap music in musicals. Show me how. Very different from someone like say, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Jesus Christ.
Who was like, I wrote the first rap song. And everyone's like, Andrew? No, you didn't.
Please sit down.
Andrew, shut up.
I watched a compilation of Patti LuPone talking about Andrew Lloyd Webber and how much she fucking loathes him. Like at one point she's like, I got breast cancer. I'm pretty sure it's because of Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's like, Jesus Christ, Patti.
I love her so much.
She is fantastic.
But on the flip side about Sondheim, she has said he was a taskmaster and sometimes his notes could be really big. But when his notes were warm, it was everything. And the first thing she thought when he died, and I'm going to cry again, was who will make me better? And so Sondheim can make us all better. So open your heart to him. How many times have I cried?
He sounds like an artist we were very lucky to have, and the kind of artist I would very much like to be.
Yes, we were all very lucky to have him. And I'm very lucky to have you two.
Oh.
And thank you for providing me with this space to be so vulnerable.
Thank you. This was genuinely not just informative, but like really touching. It's really lovely.
I am struggling at the moment.
We're all going to cry.
We're all fine.
Welcome to the only fandom episode where everybody cries.
Oh my God.
This is what I was saying before we started recording. Like, why did I start with flop musicals? But it's because flop musicals are funny and fun, but Sondheim is my whole and entire heart. So in the spirit of getting to know all of you lovely listeners better, welcome to my heart. It's mushy in here.
Oh my God.
It's nice. I like it.
It's so nice.
We love this. Okay, well now I guess we'll do all of our end show stuff while we all weep from every hole in our face.
If you want to literally watch us doing this also, this is on YouTube.
It's true.
So you can watch us just lose our minds.
In case you're like, they're not crying.
We are.
Okay, well, at the end of every episode, we like to share our micro fandoms of the week, which we will do in just a moment. But to give us a second to compose ourselves, here are some other ways that you can connect with us. This show is always going to be free. We want you to just have it. But if you like it and you want to help make it, you can show your support in many different ways, including joining us on our Patreon page, patreon.com/thefandomshow, where for only $1 a week, you can get access to episodes early, you can submit questions, you can enjoy our monthly newsletter, and listen to our exclusive patron podcast, The Fan Club, where we watch movies that one of us loves and the other has never seen. This time it's Wayne's World, and I didn't cry over that. You can also find us on social media at Fandom Show Pod or at our website, thefandomshow.com.
Please tell all your buds about us or your enemies, whatever you're feeling today. And please, if you can get on your podcast provider of choice, ideally Apple Podcasts, but wherever you listen to it, it's always helpful. Give a little rate, review, subscribe, if that's a thing, on your podcast provider of choice. It just helps people find out about this so we can continue to be curious and to learn more about others and the things that they love. You can also get our faces on some stuff. So head to tpublic.com /stores/The Fandom Show and snag our faces on things like shirts, mugs, and more things. Up to you. Do it.
You can also find us on the From Superheroes Discord, where you can meet other fans or hit us up directly. And our theme song is by Yusu Kim. And now for our micro fandoms of the week. And we're going to start with you, Steph.
Look, I'm the most basic bee. It's Wicked. It's Wicked. I can't stop. I'm obsessed with not only the movie, I had a lot of fun watching it, but the social media phenomenon around it. Every day I feel like I come to you, Kai, and I'm like, here's another hot take that some dum-dum on the internet has because they've only watched half the story. But I'm loving it. I really... as a person who loves fandom, watching this fandom of a musical that I've loved since, the early 2000s. It's been around a really long time, but it's really lovely to see a new generation and a whole bunch of new people get to experience it. I'm here for everyone singing Defying Gravity, but not in the theaters, please. Let people enjoy the movie, but then go sing it everywhere. Friggin'
go to a sing-along.
Go to a sing-along. Sing it in your house. Sing it in your shower. I can't tell you the amount of times in the shower I've sung The Wizard and I.
Can confirm.
I just love it so much, and it was so nice to watch it come to the screen, unlike so many Sondheim musicals, so faithfully and so clearly made by people who absolutely loved it. So that's my micro fandom of the week. Hi, what about you?
I'm gonna shift gears a little and say I recently saw the film Zone of Interest.
And then you sang about it.
Very different energy from Wicked. It is a Holocaust film and a very dark one at that. But I watched it and I just couldn't stop thinking about it because the way they made the film, talking about form dictating content, the way they made the film, the way they shot it, the way they did the sound editing is just every part of that film is working at the highest level, and I can't stop thinking about that. I don't know, just how much detail they put into making you feel something when you can't see the story on screen. It's just so fascinating to me, and it made my brain light up in ways that I'm like, I gotta make something. I'm jonesing. It was a real addict moment for me. So it took me, I'm way behind on this because this was the Oscar buzz was a long time ago, but understandably every time I brought it up, you were like, no, I don't think I do want to watch that movie on a Saturday night.
I think very similar to Sondheim, just I don't need to be confronted with this right now.
And I'm like, yeah, confront me.
Don't need to look at it.
Let's fucking go. Okay, Jocelyn, what are you loving?
Well, I guess in the spirit of Sondheim, because my brain is weird and craves puzzles, and also, but not literal puzzles. I hate a literal puzzle, but I like a film puzzle. Give me these cardboard pieces. I don't care for it. I watched David Lynch's Mulholland Drive for the first time, and I loved it so much. And I mean, talk about a movie where everyone's like, David, what did you mean? He's like, I think it's exactly clear what I mean. And they're like, no, it is not. No, sir. But it's an amazing movie, and Naomi Watts is unbelievably good in it. And it is, if it doesn't make a lot of logical sense, it's certainly very emotionally powerful, and it's worth it. If you're like me and you're like, I just need a little tasty treat for my brain to munch on, Lynch is fun. And also the show Somebody Somewhere, which is completely the opposite, but is just so kind and is so true and is all about how friendship can be life-changing.
Oh, more crying.
Welcome to my life. The highs and lows.
Nice cries, though. These are nice cries.
These are nice cries.
Jocelyn, thank you so much for sharing your love of this with us. Where can people find you? Anything that you want to plug?
Oh, sure. You can find me on Instagram at jgeds. You can listen to my podcast, I Hate It, But I Love It. Also from Superheroes Network and wherever you find your podcasts. I also write children's television, which might be surprising to you considering how much I swear. So you can see my work in The Snoopy Show and Snoopy in Space and Camp Snoopy and Pinecone and Pony Tony are a few. Those are a few things. And thank you so much. I realize now that I've said all of the words today, which is another reason why I relate with Sondheim. I feel like I've blasted you two with a fire hose of words coming out of my mouth.
I love it.
I've enjoyed every second of it.
And if we may plug one thing as well,
Yeah.
if you are a Sondheim fan and you're listening to this and you also reside in Toronto, Steph and I are doing Holiday, an improvised musical, which is based on Sondheim's company for the Christmas season. So that's at Factory Theatre, and you can check that out.
Yeah, we were nominated for 3 Dora Awards, which are like the Toronto Tonys, for this musical when it came last year. So we're remounting it. Yeah, if you want to come see a little musical joy, come on down. Factorytheatre.ca is where you can get tickets. That's it. And as always, till next time, love the things you love and tell everyone about them. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, yay. It's nice to be a fan of things.
The Phantom Show.